Being a part of this family and the platform that comes with that is an incredible responsibility that I take really seriously.
On January 8, 2020, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex made a shocking announcement that sent ripples around the world. They were leaving the royal family.
A senior member of the royal family deciding to quit and go and live abroad is pretty serious. I mean, and this conference today, I mean, you know, a few years ago, Meghan Markle was working on a show called Deal or No Deal, and today she's doing Deal or No Deal with the Queen of England on a speakerphone. I find that unbelievable.
To many, this sudden headline came as an overwhelming surprise. But to a lot of devoted royal watchers, the signs have been there for a long time. It seems as though Prince Harry has just decided that the time and place is now.
The monarchy finds itself in a moment of genuine crisis if Meghan and Harry do step down.
This is Harry and Meghan, the next step.
I think I can very safely say, as naive as it sounds now, having gone through this learning curve in the past year and a half, I did not have any understanding of just what it would be like. I don't think either of us did that. We both said that, even though we knew that it would be.
Yeah, I tried to warn you as much as possible, but I think both of us were totally surprised by the reaction after the first 5-6 months of when we had to ourselves of what actually happened from then. So I think you can have as many conversations as you want and try and prepare as much as possible, but we were totally unprepared for what happened after that.
On January 8, 2020, Harry and Meghan made the public announcement across their channels and social media. After many months of reflection and internal discussions, we have chosen to make a transition this year in starting to carve out a progressive new role within this institution. We intend to step back as senior members of the royal family and work to become financially independent while continuing to fully support Her Majesty the Queen. It is with your encouragement, particularly over the last few years, that we feel prepared to make this adjustment. We now plan to balance our time between the United Kingdom and North America, continuing to honor our duty to the Queen, the Commonwealth, and our patronages. This geographic balance will enable us to raise our son with an appreciation for the royal tradition into which he was born, while also providing our family with the space to focus on the next chapter, including the launch of our new charitable entity. We look forward to sharing the full details of this exciting next step in due course as we continue to collaborate with Her Majesty the Queen, the Prince of Wales, the Duke of Cambridge, and all relevant parties. Until then, please accept our deepest thanks for your continued support. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex. The statement sent royal watchers and even the royal family into crisis mode. The Queen demanded that Harry and Meghan sit down to discuss the matter and iron out solutions within days. However, Meghan Markle and baby Archie had already left the UK to Canada, where the couple intend to make their home.
This has opened up a Pandora's box. There are so many wider issues at stake. The future of the monarchy, this streamlined monarchy that you keep hearing people talking about. What does that actually look like if Meghan and Harry do step down?
You know, if they want to live privately, then they need to renounce their titles, abandon all claims to all public funding, and go and do their own thing. And had they done that, I'd be standing here cheering them on and saying, well done you. But they have not done that. They still want to cling on to the purse strings of the British taxpayer, and they still want to have that status that we have given them.
Look, they're clearly very unhappy with the royal existence that they have at the moment, and the way that their public life impinges on them. It's something they clearly want to change, and many people have sympathy with that. It's understandable. the crux of the matter is you can't be half royal. You can be part of the royal machine. You can accept the privileges that go with it, but also take the restrictions and all that, and you live in a sort of bubble, or you can stand back. I mean, the next generation of Dukes of Kent, Dukes of Gloucester, they're private citizens. No one would recognise them in the street. You can go down that route if you want. What you can't do is to be sort of transatlantic royals who drop in, do a bit of royal stuff, but then go off to do this sort of financial independence stuff in LA or Toronto, wherever it is.
Obviously claims they feel they've been hounded by the media, etc. But in reality, there's been nothing like that.
Come on, you would say that.
No, the Royal Rota system works, I think it's given them an awful lot of, it's been going since the 1950s. And one must remember that this is an unelected institution that relies upon media, publicity, the public support for its life's blood.
As the Prime Minister would say, his famous dictum about being pro-cake and pro-eating. I mean, yes, that point has been made. This came out of nowhere last night, but suddenly there was this website that had clearly taken months to prepare, and it's not .org or .gov or .royal, it's sussexroyal.com, and that speaks for itself. They are going down a commercial route. Some will say good luck to them, but it comes with caveats.
They are people who want to do good things in the world, and that's their vehicle for doing them. So I think it's great that they're hanging on to those.
Life in the most famous royal family in the world comes with a lot of pressure and attention. To members of the royal household, the family is often referred to as the firm because of its likeness to a full-time job. A large section of the media coverage about the couple's resignation as senior members of the royal family placed the blame solely on Meghan Markle's influence on Prince Harry since their marriage in 2018. However, looking beyond 2018 and even further to before the couple met, there were clear signs early on that Harry was not all that happy to be born into a role he didn't choose.
I think everyone has a real soft spot for Prince Harry. No one can forget the very emotional scenes at his mother's funeral when he walked behind her coffin and was so young and seemed quite vulnerable. I think, there's a whole generation of people out there who have watched him and his brother grow up and really rooted for them and wanted them to settle and be happy. And Harry has talked over the years about how much he wanted to find someone to share the experience with and to have a family with. And, it's taken him a few years to find the right person. He's had other relationships which, didn't work out in the way that he was hoping, perhaps. And suddenly, as he says, he spotted Meghan, and it was, from the very first moment he knew she was the one. And I think everyone's just delighted to see, his life turn around. He's had his ups and downs over the years. We know he's had his brushes with controversy, but then he's also, had this amazing career in the army. He's served twice for the country in Afghanistan, and I think everyone just really wishes him well.
You sort of have the three Harrys, really. The sensitive little boy, the fighting man, and the idiot. And I think people love him for all three of those things. I think it's probably very difficult being the second son, because you don't really have a defined role. You're just the joker in the pack. The attention is very much focused on the eldest child, as it was with William. I mean, Diana made a very conscious effort not to allow that to happen, but of course it did. Harry became important by, being this big character, being this brave boy. So I think it does affect these kids. I mean, when you look at Princess Margaret, she never found the happiness she should have done. She was always completely in the shadow of her elder sister because her elder sister was Queen. And when you think of the Queen's children, and Princess Anne said she used to feel like an also-ran. Harry is a party creature. He always will be. So obviously he's going to get caught out. And then, of course, there's the notorious strip at Vegas, which was really, really wild. Every misdemeanor that Harry's had has sort of leaked out to the press because we all want to see Harry being Harry. The more family and children that William and Kate have, and the more sort of mumsy she gets, the more people are going to want naughty Harry. So I don't see any respite for him, I really don't. I think people are going to want more of Harry.
In his younger years, when Harry was starting to date, he lost many potential lifelong partners abruptly, all for the same reason. The cameras and hounding press were just too much of an intrusion.
Chelsea and Cressida have both loved him very much, and they both probably felt differently about it, but neither of them fancied that kind of life.
I must admit, I thought that when he was going out with Cressida Bonus, his previous serious girlfriend, that they were very well suited, but he was overly protective of her, maybe, and she seriously didn't like the paparazzi situation, and who can blame her? It was probably a bit more intense even than with Meghan, and the reality is, I think, that she was a budding actress, hadn't really come to grips with it all, but whereas Meghan had been in the spotlight and had understood it and knew how to handle it, I think, even when, probably better than even Harry and other members of the royal family. She knew, in her profession, one has to fall in love with the camera and to embrace it and never look out of control. And she never did once. If you look at all of those photographic situations, she doesn't look hassled in any of them.
Your ring.
Oh, yes.
Tell us about your ring.
The ring is obviously yellow gold because that's her favourite, and the main stone itself are sourced from Botswana, and the little diamonds either side are from my mother's jewellery collection to make sure that she's with us on this crazy journey together. And
it's beautiful, and he designed it. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And
make sure it stays on that finger.
Of course.
What does it mean to you, Meghan, to have those stones on your finger that once belonged to Princess Diana?
I think everything about Harry's thoughtfulness and the inclusion of that, and obviously not being able to meet his mom, it's so important to me to know that she's a part of this with us, and I think in being able to meet his aunts and also to be like Julia and just different people who are so important to his mom, I'm able to, in some way, know a part of her through them and of course through him, and it's incredibly special, and to be able to have this, which sort of links where you come from, and Botswana, which is important to us, and it's perfect.
What do you think your mother would have thought of Meghan or said about Meghan?
Oh, they'd be thick as thieves, without question. I think she would be over the moon, jumping up and down, so excited for me. But then, as I said, would have probably been best friends with Meghan. So no, it is days like today when I really miss having her around and miss being able to share the happy news. But with the ring and with everything else that's going on, I'm sure she's with us. I'm sure she's with us. Yeah, jumping up and down.
Diana, Princess of Wales, has been seriously injured in a car accident in Paris. Her companion, the Harrods heir Dodi Al-Fayed, has been killed. The driver of the princess's car is also understood to be dead. The accident happened at just after midnight in the west of the city near the Alma Bridge.
There is no doubt that Harry has always struggled with his relationship to the press. It is clear that he still holds resentment towards the paparazzi that chased his mother, Princess Diana, that fateful night in Paris when she was killed in a car crash.
First, I want to pay tribute to Diana myself. She was an exceptional and gifted human being. In good times and bad, she never lost her capacity to smile and laugh, nor to inspire others with her warmth and kindness. I admired and respected her for her energy and commitment to others, and especially for her devotion to her two boys. This week at Balmoral, we have all been trying to help William and Harry come to terms with the devastating loss that they and the rest of us have suffered. No one who knew Diana will ever forget her. Millions of others who never met her, but felt they knew her, will remember her.
In more recent years, Harry has chastised the press for their treatment of Meghan Markle, releasing unprecedented statements highlighting racist and unethical behavior.
I think Meghan had quite a difficult initial period after their relationship was confirmed, and we know this because Harry issued a statement defending her and sort of warning people off. You know, she described it as disheartening and discriminatory, but Harry himself mentioned sort of racial undertones, which is pretty upsetting for anyone concerned. And I think, you know, it is a difficult situation when you're thrust into the glare of media interest. The royal family garner a huge amount of attention, and you know, we know that they're not necessarily delighted by it, but you know, they work closely with the media to get their messages across. But I think nothing prepared Harry and Meghan for the wave of interest that followed the announcement of their relationship. And in fact, it was Harry's statement that confirmed they were a couple for the first time. I think it's a really difficult one because they are going to have to get used to the scrutiny, but it's only right that she's treated fairly, and I think it was upsetting for everyone to see that she'd been, you know, caused problems by this coverage.
Around the birth of his son Archie, Harry refused to keep the media updated on the birth or share any photographs of his son until hours later. He was juggling the spotlight life of the royal family with the burning need to retain his privacy. But it was unsustainable. Sooner or later, things would have to change.
There was a lot written about the way that Meghan and Harry handled this birth. In some believe there has been a fundamental disconnect on the part of Meghan and Harry in the difference between being a celebrity and being a royal. As a celebrity, you're entitled to privacy when it comes to things like this. I mean, of course, you have Beyonce with reporters camped out at the hospital, but as a celebrity, you don't owe the public anything when it comes to pictures of your newborn. As a royal, the expectation is that you do. As a royal, the expectation is that this family, in a way, belongs to the public. They're public servants. And if the people want to see a picture of the baby, you give them a picture of the baby. If the people want to see the new mom just hours after she gives birth, trotted out in stockings and high heels, then you do it. That has been done up until now. Whether or not that's right, that is the precedent. So for Harry and Meghan to treat this the way a celebrity would really treat this, which is, we ask for privacy at this time, that's not what royals do. And the British press and some of the public have been upset because they want to feel like they're participants in this birth the way they have in other royal births. However, Meghan and Harry have drawn a clear line in the sand and said, no, we have boundaries and this is ours. And we're not letting you in to this special moment in the way that, say, William and Kate did. The initial hours after the baby's born belong to us, not to you. That is a difference in the way celebrities and royals view these kinds of things, and that has been a sticking point for some people in the British press.
People have a little peek at him, just can't quite see his face. Wow.
He's already got a little bit of facial hair as well. Wonderful.
Just in the family.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
And thank you everybody for all the well wishes and the kindness. It really just means so much.
Please go be supportive. Thank you.
Windsor was, I mean, an incredible scene the day of the royal wedding. Everyone was excited. The crowds were enormous. As you came up that very famous park, it was mobbed. I mean, both sides of where their carriage was going to go was thousands and thousands of people stood back to back, ready to cheer them on. The applause, the cheers as they drove through Windsor were deafening. There was a tremendous amount of love and support for Meghan and Harry on their special day. As is custom, the Queen's wedding gift to Meghan and Harry were titles. She gave them the titles of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. We were all waiting on the day of the wedding for the announcement of what their new title would be. And we were thinking and speculating what it would be and what Earl, Duke, what would be the name and what province would they have. And of course we found out it was. So from now on, Meghan and Harry will be known as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Now that the little baby boy is born, he will also be given a title.
I think everybody was stunned when Meghan got out of the Queen's Phantom Rolls Royce. I mean, she was in this virginal white dress with a beautiful train, and on the train were embroidered the emblems of the Commonwealth, because that's going to be her area of work. And she had, obviously her borrowed thing was the tiara, which was beautiful, beautiful bandeau tiara from the Queen's collection.
There were no mixed feelings about her Stella McCartney party dress that she put on after the wedding. That was universally said to be a winner. And many people, including myself, actually preferred that dress. It was just a knockout. And there's some very famous video footage of Meghan and Harry exiting, and they look like they are literally in a James Bond movie. Harry looks so dapper. They are the most glamorous, gorgeous, sexy, beautiful couple in that moment. The road to the wedding was not without its difficulties for Meghan and Harry. First of all, there were very unsavory reports coming out from former friends of Meghan, talking about, you know, she cut me off, she just ghosted me when she had no use for me. She said she didn't really know who Harry was that much, but here's a picture of her at Buckingham Palace when she was a teenager. She knew who they were. A lot of kind of gotcha kind of press. But the worst, I think, was the really racist, not even subtly racist, but racist reporting that came out. One newspaper tracked down the name of Meghan's slave ancestor, which in my opinion was designed to humiliate her. Additionally, of course, there were private humiliations, some of which we don't know, but one of which, of course, was when we famously saw Princess Michael of Kent going in to meet Meghan for the first time wearing a massively offensive and racist brooch, which she later said she didn't think about and had no idea was offensive. But regardless, both publicly and privately, Meghan's had an awful lot to counter with. Well, initially, Harry and Meghan moved in together on Kensington Palace grounds. They had a rather small cottage. I think it was just 2 bedrooms. It wasn't grand or especially big, but it was very close to William and Kate. I think the hopes were that Kate would help Meghan adjust, and the 2 women would become fierce and loyal friends and would be, you know, joined at the hip, and everything would go smoothly. Of course, we know that's not what happened. Meghan and Kate have really not forged the kind of friendship that I think royal insiders were hoping that they would. They're by all means cordial, but I don't believe they are close friends. I think Meghan and Kate probably don't have all that much in common, and they're both fully formed adult women. You know, they're not teenagers that you take on a trip together and hope they get along. These are 2 fully formed women with their own styles and opinions, and we know about Kate Middleton that she very much follows the royal protocol. She does not put a step wrong. Whereas Meghan, I think, is challenging royal norms. We know she is because she's already done things markedly differently than any other royal has done. So the women are different. Personally, I don't believe there's been a big rift between Meghan and Kate at all. I think it's more likely that it's Harry and William who have their own ideas about things, and the wives are kind of going along and supporting their husbands.
Now the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan didn't waste any time settling right into the family. On July 10th, just 2 months after they tied the knot, Harry and Meghan appeared on the balcony of Buckingham Palace alongside Her Majesty the Queen and other members of the royal family. The family were joining in the celebrations for a historic flyover to mark the historic 100-year anniversary of the Royal Air Force. On July 13th, Duchess Meghan joined Duchess Kate in a joint appearance at the annual summer tennis event Wimbledon. The royal ladies looked very happy together in their first public outing without their husbands. Turning out to support her close friend, Serena Williams, Meghan sported a stunning Ralph Lauren outfit for the special occasion. The couple attended a charity performance of the musical hit Hamilton in August. No doubt, Meghan felt right at home being back on the stage. One of the most important roles for a member of the royal family are the charities and causes they choose to support and the significant work they do for those causes. On June 14, 2017, England saw its worst post-war fire at Grenfell Tower. The avoidable tragedy cost 72 lives and devastated the lives of residents and the local community. Meghan Markle chose to show support to those affected and began to cook regularly with residents of the local hub community kitchen. After cooking with the women since January of that year, she decided to create a project called Together, a cookbook which showcases recipes from those families affected by the Grenfell fire. Meghan described the book as a labor of love.
Thank you, everyone, so much for coming. Can you hear me all right? Yes, great. Thank you for coming for the launch of Together to celebrate this and the women of the Hub Community Kitchen. Working on this project for the past 9 months has been a tremendous labor of love. I had just recently moved to London and I felt so immediately embraced by the women in the kitchen, your warmth and your kindness, and also to be able to be in the city and to see in this one small room how multicultural it was. On a personal level, I feel so proud to live in a city that can have so much diversity. It's 12 countries represented in this one group of women is pretty outstanding. I said in the foreword that this is more than a cookbook. And what I mean by that is the power of food is more than just the meal itself. It is the story behind it. And when you get to know the story of the recipe, you get to know the person behind it. And that's what we're talking about in terms of coming together to really engage and talk and to be able to celebrate what connects us rather than what divides us. That, I believe, is the ethos of Together. So to the women of the Hub Community Kitchen, thank you so much for allowing me to be part of this adventure with you. I'm so privileged to know you. I'm so excited to see the projects you're going to continue to do in your own community, the community at large, and also how you're going to inspire people globally by sharing your stories and your recipes. It's so impactful. We can see just in a few days alone, and the book's not even out yet, what you've been able to do. That's a testament to what this means to people, and I'm so proud of you. So on that note, I know some of you started eating, as you should. I'd be the last one to want the food to get cold. So please enjoy a beautiful lunch. Another round of applause for the women of the Hub Community Kitchen, and cheers to Together. Thank you.
On September 25th, Meghan made her first official solo appearance, celebrating the opening of Oceania, an art exhibit featuring 500 years of historical works. She entered full of confidence and looking flawless in Givenchy. Continuing in a year of royal firsts, Harry and Meghan found themselves back at Windsor Castle for a wedding, but this time just as guests. The wedding of Princess Eugenie and Jack Brooksbank took place on October 12, 2018.
Not long after their wedding, in fact, their first official royal tour was that Meghan and Harry went off to Fiji, Tonga, and New Zealand together. It was like 16 days. This was a big deal. This was the first time that Meghan and Harry were going to represent the monarchy and the British people abroad in the Commonwealth. I'm sure Meghan spent an awful lot of time figuring out her clothes, knowing she would be scrutinized at every minute, as well as planning speeches, remarks, memorizing the names of the people they'd be meeting and their advisors. It would have been a lot of homework. In fact, we very famously see Meghan getting off the plane when she arrives at the very beginning of her royal tour, carrying a big binder of notes. Now, interestingly, she held it in front of her stomach for a reason. But you see, Meghan was already pregnant on that trip and they hadn't announced it yet. But clutching her research and her notes in front of her enabled her to kind of hide the beginnings of her baby bump. Having said that, it was obvious Meghan had been researching and reading up on the plane. You know, Meghan Markle is not someone who just wants a pretty designer dress and a glass of champagne. She is actually engaged and interested in the politics and the storylines of where they're going. In fact, she got in trouble not that long ago when she met someone in Ireland who was in Parliament, I believe, and congratulated them on the defeat of a bill that would have nullified abortion in Ireland, and said, you know, that's great, and ended up getting in trouble because the Irish politician tweeted, oh, I had this great conversation with Meghan and she congratulated us on the defeat of this initiative. And everybody was like, you can't take a side, Meghan, you can't defend any position. I think, in all honesty, one of the most difficult, challenging things for this whole experience for Meghan is the royal tradition of not taking a side, of not showing your political leanings, of not having opinions. That is something that I think Meghan Markle has already and will very much continue to struggle with.
On the 15th of October 2018, the happy couple announced that they were expecting a baby in the spring of 2019. The announcement came as a surprise to the world, and many sent their congratulations and best wishes via social media, including the Archbishop of Canterbury. Doria Ragland, Meghan's mother, expressed her happiness and said that she is looking forward to welcoming her first grandchild. Despite the news of a royal addition on the way, the Sussexes arrived in Sydney, Australia, to begin their 16-day trip that would take them across the outback and to Fiji, Tonga, and New Zealand. The couple were met by a huge media crowd that never seemed to leave their side. This was the first official royal tour, and the schedule was jam-packed with over 70-plus engagements. The couple followed in the footsteps of Prince Charles and Diana, Princess of Wales, whose first royal tour was also to Australia and New Zealand. Meghan seemed in her element, chatting with crowds, full of smiles and laughter. Meghan Markle made a speech at the celebration of 125 years of women's suffrage in New Zealand.
It's my great pleasure and privilege to invite Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex, to speak.
Good evening, everyone. Your Excellencies, Prime Minister, Mr. and Mrs. Bridges, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Tēnā katoa. Your Excellency, thank you for your warm welcome to Government House this evening, as well as for hosting me and Harry during our special time in New Zealand. We are proud to be able to join you tonight in celebrating the 125th anniversary of women's suffrage in your country. The achievements of the women of New Zealand who campaigned for their right to vote and were the first in the world to achieve it are universally admired. In looking forward to this very special occasion, I reflected on the importance of this achievement, but also the larger impact of what this symbolizes. Because yes, women's suffrage is about feminism, but feminism is about fairness.
Suffrage is not simply about the right to vote, but also about what that represents. The basic and fundamental human right of being able to participate in the choices for your future and that of your community. The involvement and voice that allows you to be a part of the very world that you are a part of. And women's suffrage is not simply about the right to vote for women, but also about what that represents. The basic and fundamental human right of all people, including those members of society who have been marginalized, whether for reasons of race, gender, ethnicity, or orientation, to be able to participate in the choices for their future and their community. So bravo, New Zealand, for championing this right 125 years ago for the women who well deserve to have an active voice and an acknowledged vote, and for all of the people that this effort has paved the way for globally. We all deeply thank you. In the words of your suffragette, Kate Shepherd, all that separates, whether of race, class, creed, or sex, is inhuman and must be overcome. Thank you all so much.
On September 23, 2019, Harry and Meghan set out on another royal tour, this time as a family with their new baby boy Archie. The tour was a 10-day visit to Harry's favorite part of the world, Africa. They began their visit in Cape Town's Nyanga Township, where they saw a workshop that supports children and empowers young girls.
May I just say that while I'm here with my husband as a member of the royal family, I want you to know that for me, I am here with you as a mother, as a wife, as a woman of color, and as your sister. I am here with you and I am here for you, and I thank you so much for showing my husband and I the spirit of Ubuntu. And I look forward to our time over the next few days together. Thank you so much for having us.
The entire tour was filmed for an ITV documentary about the royal couple. However, controversy arose when Meghan spoke candidly to a reporter about her struggle over the past 2 years adapting to royal life, being a new mother, and trying to fit into life in a different country.
You add this on top of just trying to be a new mom or trying to be a newlywed. It's, yeah, well, I guess, and also thank you for asking, because not many people have asked if I'm okay. But it's a very real thing to be going through behind the scenes.
Mental health has been an issue both Prince Harry and his brother and sister-in-law, Prince William and Kate, have championed for a while. Their Heads Together campaign was an enormous success in highlighting the importance of speaking openly and about your emotional struggles, no matter who you are.
So from students to politicians, from apartheid campaigners from the 1950s to teenagers on a beach, from the mothers with HIV providing health care to their community, and to the entrepreneurs who were driving the businesses of the future. They all showed me a power and a solidarity that in this moment, in this time, all women and all people can take strength and inspiration from. Because these amazing African women have discovered self-belief and found their worth. And at our visit earlier this morning, I was struck by a small sign that was posted on the wall for the female entrepreneurs. And it said, "Visualize your highest self and show up as her." This is the spirit of the women and girls I have met on this trip. They are not defining themselves by how they compare to others or making their success and marking it against historical expectations. They are simply paving their own path. They have their own voice, and they are being listened to. And as I've said before, I firmly believe that all women have a voice,
They just need to feel empowered to use it, and people need to feel encouraged to listen. There's a role for all of us here. As women, we can listen to one another and lift each other up. We can raise our boys to be men who value women. And for men and boys, you can lead by example and not let your mothers, your daughters, your sisters, wives, or girlfriends ever feel that they are lesser than you. I remember being a young girl watching TV and seeing what was happening in the world, and frankly often feeling despair. Because when you continue and constantly see and hear negativity, it can be overwhelming. You can feel powerless and lost. You can feel different, confused, or like you don't belong. And I'm sure that there is a young girl or boy watching this and maybe thinking the exact same thing. So this is for you. In a world that can seem so aggressive, confrontational, and dangerous, you should know that you have the power to change it. Because whether you're here in South Africa, at home in the UK or the US, or around the world, you actually have the power within you to change things, and that begins with how you connect to others. I have learned from the people I've met here that whether it's about society's expectations of masculinity or femininity, or how we divide ourselves by race, or faith, or class, or status, everyone has value, and everyone deserves to be heard and respected. And if you live your life in that way, your generation will start to value each other in ways the rest of us have not yet been able to do so.
It's now the penultimate day of the tour.
It is.
From your point of view, how's it gone? And do you think that you as a woman of colour can bring something new and interesting to the way the royal family engages with people in countries such as South Africa?
Well, the Commonwealth is a very diverse place, right, with 53 countries, and so being a part of this family and the platform that comes with that is an incredible responsibility that I take really seriously. Being able to be in Africa and South Africa, it's my first time being in this country, has been really powerful, and Harry has continued on in a couple other countries. We're reuniting today, which I can't wait for. I miss him so much. No, I think for us it's just been a really special trip because you get to see when you're focusing on the causes that are really important to us, you can see that the impact is good and it feels meaningful.
Talking about how's it been for you as a family? You've had 4-month-old Archie here.
Yes,
how's
5
it
months
been
now.
having Archie with you and also being separated from Harry all this time?
Oh my goodness, well, we're doing well. I think the schedule, they've been very kind to me because everything's based around Archie's feed times. So it's a full plate, but we're making it work. It's worth it. So thank you.
Excellent, thank
yes,
you.
Nice to talk to you. Thank you all so much. As my husband said so eloquently, you really have been such an inspiration for us, and being here today, from every level of what we've seen, there's such a holistic approach to how you have energized and mobilized each other to be part of a bigger change. And on a personal note, seeing the work that's being done at Blossom is incredible. I had worked with an organization very similar several years ago in India called Minna Mahila, and being able to see you are creating the product that is needed within the community, you'd be able to become the provider for everything about the economy and what you need as opposed to getting it externally. You are feeding yourselves through that work, and on top of which, being able to enable these women to have the power to then own the company is amazing. But that's what's amazing, and that's what's needed, because there's so much talent here, there's so much ingenuity here, and there's so much promise here. So if given the level of support and the resources that you need, the potential is astronomical, and you can see that there. And I think for you women, I'm so proud of you in the business that you're creating, and also being able to now control your own purse strings, because when you have that level of independence, my goodness, you can do anything. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to meet with all of you, to be able to feel inspired, and for welcoming us so warmly, strongly, beautifully into your country. We've loved it. Thank you.
A senior member of the royal family deciding to quit and go and live abroad is pretty serious. I mean, and this conference today, I mean, a few years ago, Meghan Markle was working on a show called Deal or No Deal, and today she's doing Deal or No Deal with the Queen of England on a speakerphone. I find that unbelievable.
All senior members of the royal family urgently met in Sandringham at the request of the Queen. Prince Harry arrived to lay out his hopes for a new role for him and his wife, and Meghan Markle joined via telephone. After the meeting, Her Majesty the Queen released the following statement. "Today, my family had very constructive discussions on the future of my grandson and his family. My family and I are entirely supportive of Harry and Meghan's desire to create a new life as a young family. Although we would have preferred them to remain full-time working members of the royal family, we respect and understand their wish to live a more independent life as a family, while remaining a valued part of my family. Harry and Meghan have made clear that they do not want to be reliant on public funds in their new lives. It has therefore been agreed that there will be a period of transition in which the Sussexes will spend time in Canada and the UK. These are complex matters for my family to resolve, and there is some more work to be done, but I have asked for final decisions to be reached in the coming days."
This has opened up a Pandora's box, and there are so many wider issues at stake. The future of the monarchy, this streamlined monarchy that you keep hearing people talking about. What does that actually look like if Meghan and Harry do step down?
Obviously, there's an interest in America in the royals. It's a monarchy, that's one level of interest, but it's also a family, and this is, I think, for the first time, a glimpse behind palace walls.
The royal family has been around a very long time, will find a way forward, and I'm sure it will.
After days of silence from the palace and amidst the public mania at the announcement, Her Majesty the Queen released a statement to clarify the next steps for the couple. Following many months of conversations and more recent discussions, I am pleased that together we have found a constructive and supportive way forward for my grandson and his family. Harry, Meghan, and Archie will always be much loved members of my family. I recognize the challenges they have experienced as a result of intense scrutiny over the last 2 years and support their wish for a more independent life. I want to thank them for all their dedicated work across this country, the Commonwealth, and beyond, and am particularly proud of how Meghan has so quickly become one of the family. It is my whole family's hope that today's agreement allows them to start building a happy and peaceful new life." Buckingham Palace also had the following to say. "The Duke and Duchess of Sussex are grateful to Her Majesty and the royal family for their ongoing support as they embark on the next chapter of their lives. As agreed in this new arrangement, they understand that they are required to step back from royal duties, including official military appointments. They will no longer receive public funds for royal duties. With the Queen's blessing, the Sussexes will continue to maintain their private patronages and associations. While they can no longer formally represent the Queen, the Sussexes have made clear that everything they do will continue to uphold the values of Her Majesty. The Sussexes will not use their HRH titles as they are no longer working members of the royal family. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have shared their wish to repay sovereign grant expenditure for the refurbishment of Frogmore Cottage, which will remain their UK family home. Buckingham Palace does not comment on the details of security arrangements. There are well-established independent processes to determine the need for publicly funded security. This new model will take effect in the spring of 2020.
They'll be welcomed with Canadian arms, which means they're going to be very discreet and show a lot of hospitality to them whenever they meet.
So you're not surprised they've chosen British Columbia?
I'm surprised and very pleased. I wouldn't discourage them because we can give them good soil in which to place their roots with their family life.
I really think, we're probably one of the best places in Canada, if not North America, to raise a family. Our residents are also really respectful, so we respect their privacy, and that's been a part of the theme since they came here on Christmas vacation.
It is not clear what the future will hold for the Sussexes as they prepare to move away from the royal limelight and into a life that they seemingly hope will bring them peace and privacy. Will they remain Sussexes? Will they be able to live in Canada? Will this finally be the happily ever after they have longed for? No one can be sure, but they stand together as they bravely take the next step.
Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, thank you both very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.